Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 56 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I have a great episode with an awesome guest to kick off Super Bowl week with NFL sideline reporter Stacey Dales. She's also a former OU Hooper, Olympian, and WNBA player, so I cannot wait for you guys to hear from her. But before we get there, I have a few Sooner headlines of the week to share across the world of Sooner sports. First of all, please make sure you're following me on social media. I am at Sooner Girl Pod on all social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, Threads, Lemon8, even on Reddit. Be sure and give me a follow. Also, my email address is soonergirlsportspod@gmail.com. So you can message me on any social media platform at Sooner Girl Pod or shoot me an email. I want to give all of the flowers, all of the attention that each sport deserves. I try to just give a short synopsis of what is going on in each sport each week. Now, these are sanctioned sports and not club sports. Sometimes I do mention club sports, but I'm not regularly keeping up with those. But you can do that on social media. I do share a lot of their stuff on social media for lacrosse, hockey. I want to give each athlete, each sport their time. These athletes give everything they have to represent our university, whether they get the attention or not. And if you are a longtime listener, you know that that was one of the main things with me starting this in the first place, was not only promoting women in sports behind the scenes, but also those sports that often get overlooked, like track, golf, soccer, volleyball, tennis. We all know and love football. That is totally fine. That's the sport that drives the revenue for our university and all of the rest of our sports. So obviously it's very important that we support them. And I know when we get into the diamond sports, there's lots of softball lovers in Oklahoma, especially these days, and even across the United States. But I want you to tell me if you like what I'm doing. I would just love your feedback. And also, I've had some people tell me they would prefer to have this segment after the interview. I've had some people say they prefer to have it before. So if you have an opinion, just let me know. I will consider all opinions. And so that being said, before I get into the Sooner headlines for this week, I want to give a shout out to my show sponsors, Marvin's Place. It's a fine art gallery and listening room in the Depot District in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Come experience amazing artwork and Friday nights. Please stop and visit the Listening Room, an intimate, unplugged venue. They have host, singer, and songwriters on Friday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Relax with a glass of wine or craft beer and enjoy some wonderful music. If you're in the Southern Oklahoma area, I highly recommend you checking it out. You won't find another venue like this anywhere in the area. I can promise you that. I've only seen and been to venues similar to this in Nashville. So you won't want to miss checking that out. If you're a music lover in the Southern Oklahoma area or are willing to make a drive, come check them out. Also, on your way into town, give a stop by Therapy to Go in Ardmore on Broadway, the funnest place in town to drive through for a drink. And you don't even have to get out of your car. That is the best part. Go see my girls, Melissa, Allison, and the rest of their crew. They have a large variety of spirits as well as fountain drinks and snacks. Tell them that Sooner Girl Sports Pod sent you for a free gift. I also want to give a shout out to HGX Graphics and Signs, your full service one-stop shop for signs, wraps, apparels, and marketing. Robin designed my logo for my company and my podcast. Sonia runs my merch store. They have been big supporters of the podcast from day one. They supplied some things for my party that is coming up. If you're listening to this on the day that it drops, I have a 1-year celebration for my podcast on Thursday, February the 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Coach's Corner in Norman. You can find all the information pinned at the top of the Sooner Girl Sports Pod Facebook page. But again, it's Thursday night, 6 to 8 at Coach's Corner in Norman. I would love for you to come. Bring a friend. We're celebrating 1 year of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. We will have cheers and cake cutting at 6:30. So I hope to see you there. And all the merch and some giveaways that I will be doing will be sponsored by HGX Signs. Again, thanks to Sonia and Robin for their support of the podcast. In case you missed it, we introduced our new athletic director that is coming to OU from Illinois. His name is Roger Denny. I did go into some detail about him last week, but since that episode has dropped, we did do a formal introduction with him last Wednesday and he met with the media. He also did a short interview with Gabe and Teddy on the Oklahoma Breakdown. But I think it speaks a lot about him that a large amount of people from the Illinois Athletic Department came to his ceremony in Oklahoma last Wednesday, especially with all the weather that was going on during that time. And including those that came were their athletic director, Josh Whitman. So I think that really says a lot about Roger Denny and the culture that he wants to continue and strive to build here at Oklahoma. And it just says a lot about him as a person. So welcome, Roger Denny, to Oklahoma. And I'm excited to see how things go with him going forward. Also, a sad goodbye, but a congratulations and best wishes to Jay Valai. He is the Sooners assistant head coach for defense, co-defensive coordinator, and pass defense coach. He accepted a job and is to become the Buffalo Bills defensive back coach. So he was being eyed for several jobs around college sports and also in the NFL. So is a very sad loss, but best of wishes to him. He has been fantastic on our defense since being in Oklahoma. So he definitely will be missed. It also was announced from an inside source that first spring practice for football will be on March the 25th. And supposedly they will be holding a traditional spring game on a date to be announced soon. Now, you may be wondering, why the heck are they going to have one this year if they didn't do it last year? They held the spring combine, which was a different format, not a traditional game format. Well, there's no longer a spring portal window for football players. So I know that played a large part in the decision last year across college sports for no one to host a spring game so that none of the players would get poached. And so you can't really blame them there. It's kind of disheartening, but this is the realm of college sports that we are in today. But that being said, the portal window in the spring is no longer a factor in that situation. So supposedly we should be having a traditional spring game with that date coming soon. Also, shout out to Fabechi Nweyu, who received the Pat Tillman Award at the East West Shrine Bowl last week. He is honored as the player that best exemplifies sportsmanship and character and service on and off the field. Also, many of you saw on social media this past week, and I saw an official word from Jim Nagy that NCAA has denied Owen Heineke's petition for another year at OU. When players are being granted 7th and 8th years of football, college football governing body has ruled for Owen not to even get his 4th. Evidently, the walk-ons 3 games of lacrosse at Ohio State in 2021 could not be reconciled. There will be a formal appeal. If that appeal is denied, one leggy NFL team is certainly going to get a stud player and an even better human being. So we just love everything about Owen Heineke. He is everything that college football is. We all stand with him in that appeal and hoping to gain some ground with that. But who knows when we will hear something on that. But I will report back as soon as an update is given. But best of luck to Owen Heineke, regardless of whether he comes back to OU in the fall, if he's able to, or moves on to the NFL. Also, the Senior Bowl was held this past weekend. Jaden Ott had a good outing. What a surprise. Talk about him getting a lot of attention there, and it raised a lot of questions for us Sooner fans who did not see him on the field putting out the production that we were told we were going to see from him last fall. Very frustrating, but here we are. He made a quote where he said something about his first 2 years of college. He was a really good player, and the last 2 years, he, quote, kind of fell off the face of the earth or something like that. Well, we don't know why or really what that means, but nevertheless, he put out a good showing at the Senior Bowl, so good for him. I hope he goes forward and best of luck to him. But I did want to point out that there was a photo going around on social media just a couple days ago that perhaps gave us an insight as to why he did not see much time on the field this fall with the Sooners. We had all heard some rumors about maybe he wasn't fitting in with the team, didn't have that all-in attitude, that support and wanting the best for the team. Well, there was a photo going around of him the moment that Keontez Lewis hit the brick wall head first pretty early in the season. The whole team, staff on the field, checking on him, praying for him, hoping for the best for him. That was a very scary moment. And obviously he ended up being okay and playing later in the season, but that was a very scary moment. Again, everyone's on the field. Jaden Ott is sitting on the bench, just sitting there, chilling. So Don't know the reason behind that. Don't know what he was doing. I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe he was saying a prayer for him. But in a moment like that, being with your teammates, standing in solidarity of support and praying together with them is really where he should have been, and he was not. So maybe that just proves some of the rumors that have been going around about him in the fall. Who knows? We will never know, probably, but just wanted to throw that out there. Also, the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL have signed our former Sooner Isaiah Coe. And in the NFL, Creed Humphrey is a finalist for the first ever Protector of the Year award. Also, this is Super Bowl week. The only Sooner we have represented in the Super Bowl this year is with the New England Patriots and running back Ramondre Stevenson. So best of luck to him. In the Super Bowl this coming Sunday, they are playing the Seahawks. I can't wait to see how that goes. So best of luck to former Sooner Ramondre Stevenson. Shout out to Jeremiah Fears. He was recognized as one of the NBA All-Stars and will be participating in All-Star Weekend in LA here coming up soon. Also, our Sooner basketball lost to Arkansas last Tuesday night in the Lloyd Noble Center, 83-79. In front of a near capacity crowd, free admission on an icy night at the LNC. It was packed. The energy was great. It was actually an excellent game. Nigel Pack was on fire. Arkansas ends on a 6-0 run. Nigel Pack had 22 points, 6 of 11 from the 3 points, but the losing streak continued on. The latest brutal gut-wrenching loss for that team. We hosted Texas then on Saturday at 1 p.m. in the Lloyd Noble Center. I was there. Pretty decent crowd considering, but we suffered a 69-79 loss to Texas at home on Saturday. They allowed Texas to shoot 75 in the second half, got outscored 24-8 over the final minutes. 8-game losing streak continued on. We blew a 14-point lead that we had at one point. Nigel Pack again was on fire, 23 points. Darion Reed and Xavier Brown both had 15 points. Texas 2 of 12 on their field goals, but they ended 28 for the next 37 for 76%. OU led 61-55 at one time, but we just couldn't pull it out. So now OU sits at 11-11 overall record, 1-8 in the SEC. We play at Kentucky on Wednesday night, so the day that this episode drops, and that will be us going up against our former guard, Otega Owe. So that should be an interesting matchup for sure. And then we play at Vandy on Saturday, February the 7th. Our women's basketball had an up and down week as they started out with a great week. Obviously, for a 6-time SEC Freshman of the Week, Aliyah Chavez. Number 10 ranked Sooners at the time. We had a great 85-58 win over Texas A&M on Thursday night. We improved to 17-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference at that time. Sooners shot 48% from the three. Pulse was on fire, scored 16 points, 5 of 7 shooting from beyond the arc. Chavez had 14 points, Reagan Beers 12. Beatrice Culleton returned after a wrist injury. She did still have a wrap, but it was great to see her back in the lineup. Don't have much information on that wrist injury. I wasn't even aware that it had happened. So that is why I haven't talked about it with Dr. Jason Lynan on our injury report, but it was pretty minor. She's back. So great to have her back in the lineup. But the Sooners knocked down 12 threes, which was the third most of all season. After that game, we were back number 1 nationally in field goals defense. But then we traveled south of the border on Sunday to take on number 4 Texas in Austin, and it was broadcasted nationally, unfortunately, on ABC. What a mess. We just had bad luck on the hardwood against the Horns this past weekend, all across the board. Number 4 Texas takes us down 78-70. We did actually play pretty well. I think we had a great opportunity to win that game if we just did a few things differently. If we meet them again down the road, which we probably will in the SEC tournament, hoping that we get those things figured out. Peyton hit a 55-foot half-court buzzer shot at the half to gain momentum for the Sooners coming out after the half, but we just couldn't find an offensive rhythm, minus a pretty good run at the start of the third. Just never had the lead in the game. So many turnovers. We're 1-4 now against AP top 10 opponents, with its lone win coming against South Carolina at home just a couple of weeks ago. Tough loss, but the Sooners did outscore Texas by 8 points in the second half. Peyton led the team with 18 points. Zaya Van had 15, Aliyah Chavez 11, and Reagan Beers 10. Next up for our Sooners on the hardwood, February 9th, which is next Monday, at number 5 Vandy. So that'll be another great matchup. They did suffer a loss to Ole Miss this week. They actually did drop in the polls, I believe, to number 9, but still will be a great top 12 matchup. Our women's gymnastics team is continuing with their number 1 ranking, and freshman of the week, Mackenzie Estep, had a great outing against Kentucky on Friday night as we won 197.550 to 196.475. We scored 49.2 or better on all four events. And just so you know, the highest possible score is 50. We scored 49.2 on all four events and pulled away behind a dominant beam rotation to secure a win. Madison Fida posted the highest score on the bars with a 9.9. She posted a 49.325 on the event, matching their floor total from the previous rotation, and that just made our pull ahead from Kentucky even greater. Our ability to remain composed on the beam contributed to our final margin. Senior Faith Torres anchored the event with a 9.950 and her fourth consecutive beam score of 9.95 or higher this season. Freshman Ella Murphy and Mackenzie Eastep appeared in multiple lineups and provided steady scores and high scores for them as well. Next up for our women's gymnastics is at home, Alabama, this coming Friday night at the Lloyd Noble Center. They will be dropping the national championship banner at this meet since they did not get to do it earlier in the season due to the weather. So come out to the LNC on Friday night. Top 5 ranked team Alabama will be in town on Friday evening. You guys do not sleep on our men's gymnastics team. Nathan Roman, CGA National Rookie of the Week. They have the most championships as a program across the entire university at either 12 or 13. I apologize, I didn't look that up before I started. I hosted Coach Mark Williams, their head coach, on my show last year, and he talked about this, and he is an incredible coach. They consistently rank in the top 3 teams in the nation, usually in the top 2. They usually also always finish in the top 2 in the nation. Them and Stanford seem to play a little bit of ping pong back and forth between that 1 and 2 spot. But Coach Mark Williams, Coach KJ Kindler of the women deserve their statues and flowers out in front of that fantastic, beautiful new gymnastics facility just across from the Lloyd Noble Center. But don't sleep on these guys. They are in McCaslin Fieldhouse, and they do not draw the crowd that the women do. And I know that most people are drawn more to women's gymnastics, but these guys are consistently available to be watched televised or on SEC Plus or on ESPN Plus. But get out and support them, y'all. It's free admission. And again, the most championships of any program in the entire university for our men's gymnastics. They had a great win on Sunday for their home opener against Greenville, 320 to 305.650. Consistent after hitting 23 consecutive routines following an early stumble in the meet. But Coach Mark said that Fuzzy Bennis has had a sore shoulder and his regular double front dismount was bothering him. So on Thursday, just a few days before the meet, he asked him to change the ending with a double pike. And he said he hadn't tried that since middle school. But guess what? 4 days later, that is how he completed that. And for the very first time, he won the event title with that routine. So shout out to Fuzzy. I actually interviewed him in his episode of the podcast will be dropping next month. The Sooners swept the individual event titles for our men's gymnastics. Vault, Tyler Flores, P-bar and high bar, both shout out Fuzzy. Floor, Arthur Balian, pommel horse, Ignacio Yockers, rings, Brigham Frenthaway. All around winner was Colin Flores. Next up at home for our men is this coming Saturday night, February 7th. I actually will be there Friday night for the women and Saturday night for men's gymnastics. So I would love to see you there. If you're going to come out, give me a shout or look for me. I would love to say hello. I'm also going to go check out our tennis guys who are playing at home on Friday and Saturday as well. Earlier in the day, there's also a home track meet on Friday during the day as well, if you want to just make it a sooner weekend and get out and support our crew. Okay, baseball. The Shriners Classic in Arlington is Valentine's weekend. It is baseball time almost in Oklahoma and Texas, as opening weekend will be in Arlington. There's still tickets available for the Shriners Classic. There is Bedlam. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State will be there for the 3-day event, and Bedlam will be on Saturday, which is Valentine's Day. I believe it's at 3 o'clock, so you won't want to miss that. Softball fans, where are you? Where are you at? It is opening day. We have freaking made it. I could not be more excited. Softball is one of my first loves for sure. We open up at Arizona this Thursday night, February the 5th. It is at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Now, I know you're thinking, you said you're having a party on Thursday night. Well, we will have the softball on. My party's from 6 to 8. Softball doesn't start till 7:30, so there's still plenty of time to come. and celebrate and have a great time before the softball game. But if you're there late, it will be on at Coach's Corner. But we then have opening weekend in Arizona at the Kendrea Classic against Arizona State. So it's going to be a great weekend out in Arizona, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday also, I believe. So can't wait for softball. We have several home opportunities coming up later this month. SEC opening weekend is March 13th against Auburn. Cannot wait, guys. Our wrestling is holding with a number 15 ranking, with ranked individuals being Conrad Hendrickson, Tyler Wells, Peyton Keller, Carter Schubert, Brian Saldano, DJ Parker, and Juan Mora. They had back-to-back home duels this past weekend. Friday night lost to number 3 Iowa State, but had an awesome bounce back win on Saturday night over Northern Iowa, 23-18. DJ Parker with a big win, and heavyweight Juan Mora pushed them over the edge. Oklahoma's highest ranked home win duel since the 2016 season, when we defeated 5th ranked Missouri. That result was also the program's 5th ranked duel under head coach Roger Kish. And next up for our wrestling guys is this Sunday, which is senior day. I know it's a Super Bowl, but this is actually earlier in the day. So if you live in the area, you can still make it home for the game. But next Sunday, February 8th, they host Arizona State senior day in McCaslin Fieldhouse. So get out and support our guys. Okay, I know I mentioned tennis. And our men are at home this coming week, and I'm looking forward to getting out to see Bruno Naveen, who was on the podcast last summer, and the guys that will be playing at home this coming Friday and Saturday. Number 13 ranked men, they do play at Tulsa on the day this drops, Wednesday, February the 4th, and then at home this weekend, so looking forward to seeing them. Our women, number 6 ranked women's 7-0 win over Tulsa last Saturday. They will be headed to Illinois for the ITA National Indoors February 6th through the 9th, and their next home match is on February 22nd. Okay, track and field. These kids, I don't want to not give them the flowers they deserve. I don't want to mispronounce their names or overlook anybody, so I truly apologize if I do any of those things. But All-American and national champion in the triple jump, Oklahoma senior Agur Dewal has been named the Sportswoman of Colorado 2025 Excellence in Field Events and a Hall of Fame inductee for her accomplishments during the season. She is a native of Denver, Colorado, and she will join 2,300 women who have been recognized by the association since its inception in 1974. So shout out to her for that. What a fantastic honor for her being honored. Our Sooners headed to Manhattan, Kansas this past weekend for the DeLoss Dodds Invitational, Friday and Saturday. Allie Stevenson's personal best time in the 60-meter hurdles earned her a spot at number 5 in school history. Women's weight throw, Kennedy Clark took 3rd in the finals. Men's 200, Aiden Paris in his season debut finished 4th. Our women's 200 meter, Jordan Atkinson finished 2nd, Nia Parks 3rd, and Sydney Spikerman 7th. Sophomore Abby Jepchurcher finished 4th in the women's 800, and a personal best time for Mary Van Dyke in the women's 3,000 meter. And in the men's 3,000 meters, sophomore Evans Bewat and Ronald Nagetstik finished 3rd and 5th respectively. Women's pole vault, shout out to Jacelyn Neighbors. The sophomore earned a personal best clearance to improve her mark at number 5 in OU history. Men's high jump, Tyson Ritz was at it again, put up another personal best clearance for the win, and number 3 now in school history. Julian McCullough and Trey Bartholomew also followed for a podium sweep. Women's high jump, Hannah Piffner finished 3rd, Brianna Rivers 5th. Men's long jumps, Nicholas Chu matched his personal best for 2nd place. Then shout out to the World Athletics bronze long jump section of the Invitational, where junior Kennedy Stringfellow leapt for 3rd place and 2nd best in his collegiate finish. Day 2 moved us on to more events, where our Maggie Mullings finished 2nd and Tylee Dodson 3rd in the women's shot put. Maggie and her husband, who is a Jamaican Olympian in the shot put, I interviewed them for the podcast, and their episode will be coming out this spring. You will not want to miss that. Maggie Bookout is her maiden name. She comes from a long line of OU DNA, so fantastic athlete, sweet, sweet girl. Women's triple jump, Taylor Fingers finished 3rd and Zalea Dupree 5th. And for the men's bronze triple jump, it's BJ's world, and we were all just living in it. Shout out to him for the senior who put up a nation-leading leap for the win, and he met the record and the 2nd best mark internationally this entire season. So incredible. Also wanted to mention our women's golf. They are on the move with their spring schedule. They have a number 25 ranking. They're ready to get back on the course, and they are there this week as I'm recording this, Monday, February the 2nd through Wednesday, February the 4th. They are in Boca Raton, Florida at the Paradise Invitational. So check social media for an update on that in the meantime, and I will update you next week. Our men are getting ready to start their season. They will head to Puerto Rico for the Puerto Rico Classic, February 9th through 11th. Okay, for my Sooner MVP of the week, I'm giving all the flowers to our men's gymnastics team. I know I gave a little spiel about them earlier, how we should not be sleeping on them. They are the most decorated sports across our entire university, and they do not get the attention that they deserve. So shout out to Coach Mark Williams. Shout out to Fuzzy Bideth, who I have interviewed for my podcast. His episode will be coming out soon. Coach Mark was on the pod last spring. If you missed their debacle last week after they were trying to get home from Michigan from their meet, they went through 3 airports, several delays in flights, and it was a 3-day ordeal to get them home. So they had a very short week to prep for their meet that luckily was on Sunday and not a Friday or Saturday. But shout out to the men's team. They are just incredible, and I want to give them all the flowers, and I hope that you will get out and support them at McCaslin this season. Okay, for my Sooner fun fact of the week, in 1981, OU men's gymnast Bart Connor became the very first in program history to win the Nissan Emery Award as the top gymnast in the country. So thank you all again so much for your overwhelming support. It really, truly means more to me than you know. And again, if you do not follow me on social media, please, please, please go and follow me on every platform that you have at Sooner Girl Pod. Share the podcast with a friend. Share it on social media. Give me all the comments, all the likes. I love to hear from you guys. If you need merch, I've got shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, koozies, hats, all the things. Soonergirl.bigcartel.com is my merch. And don't forget to check out my monthly newsletter, The Playbook, that is available on Substack. You can also have it delivered to your inbox for free. You can sign up for that. My link is in bio on all my social media, again, at Sooner Girl Pod. You will find my link tree. All of this I'm talking about is in that link in bio. Again, ladies, if you want to join the locker room, we're having our online huddle for February next week. It's not too late to join in for that. Shoot me a message if you would like for me to help you with that. Just $5 a month gets you into our awesome community where we have online meetups. You get a discount on your merch. We do ticket giveaways. I've given away basketball tickets for men and women, gymnastics. You don't want to miss out on that. For my locker room members only. If you're interested in advertising or sponsoring the show, you can just shoot me an email in SoonerGirlSportsPod@gmail.com. I hope to see you all at Coach's Corner on Thursday, February the 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. Cake cutting and cheers is at 6:30. I would love to see you all there. If you can't make it, you want to virtually sign the guest book, shoot me an email. Again, SoonerGirlSportsPod@gmail.com. I'll make sure it gets in there. And I appreciate all the notes I've gotten so far. They truly mean so much to me. Your support means so much to me. And you helping me build my online presence is truly special to me. I thank you so much. And now on to my fantastic interview with the amazing Stacey Dales. I cannot believe that I talked to her. I actually recorded this with her earlier this fall, so it's been a little bit, but she is one of the nicest human beings. I cannot thank her enough for giving me part of her time. She is an amazing person, and it truly meant so much that she recorded with me for the podcast. In case you do not know, Stacey Dales, a Canadian American sports reporter for the NFL Network and a former NBA player. She was born in Collingwood, Ontario, and raised in Brockville. She played college basketball, of course, at OU from 1997 to 2002. She graduated in 2002 with a communication degree. In the 2000 Sydney Olympics, she competed for Team Canada. In 2002, the Washington Mystics drafted her 3rd overall in the WNBA draft, and she was named a WNBA All-Star replacement. Currently amidst her 17th season at the NFL Network as a senior national reporter. She spent her first 8 years of her career at ESPN. She played basketball professionally for both the Washington Washington Mystics and the Chicago Sky. Again, she's a Canadian Olympic. She is a proud Sooner. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation and her talking about her favorite Sooner memory, how she comes into the program sitting at a 5-22 record the season before, turning the OU women's basketball into a national powerhouse, ultimately reaching the national championship. Her jersey's retired at OU, hangs in the rafters at the LNC right next to Coach Sherry Cole. It is my honor to introduce you to Stacey Dales. Please go and follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Dales. I will link it in the show notes and tag her in all the things all week long. And I hope you guys enjoy my conversation with the awesome Stacey Dales. And I will see you next Wednesday where we talk sports. I cannot thank you enough for giving me part of your time, because I know you don't normally do this, and I know you're very busy.
You know what? It's my pleasure, and I love supporting other women who are in this field. And you're like Sooner fam, and you had Sherry on recently. So I thought, yeah, so let's do it. I thought, you know what? I want to do this with Larissa, and it'll be fun.
I get the fangirl a little bit because, of course, I mean, you're around my age. We were at OU at the same time. But yeah, I mean, you're on the big stage now. So I see you on TV. I see you.
Well, I'm just the same old girl.
I love that. I love that. Okay, well, let's just talk a little bit about how you ended up at OU and any memories you want to talk about at your time at OU. Like you said, turning a 5-22 team into a national powerhouse and reaching that national championship, and just how far you guys came during your time at OU. That's a great story in and of itself.
Well, Larissa, it's good to be with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely.
To join the podcast, and I'm really pumped for you and the growth and the evolution of where it's headed. I don't think you can ever replicate in life when you go through anything that is adverse, or you turn anything around, or you create something special. And when I was a kid coming out of Canada, I was 17 years old, so very young, going to the University of Oklahoma. Pretty raw, way too skinny, tore my ACL that first year, but Sherry Cole recruited me on a 5-22 record. And for a program that was nearly abolished just a few years prior to that, 10 to 5 years after I stepped foot on campus, take a program to the national championship and see that evolution, see that turnaround was absolutely incredible. And so I'm very proud of that in my basketball journey. Absolutely. And will take being a Sooner with me for the rest of my life.
Like you said, being at OU is something you'll carry with you forever. And obviously, your name is very synonymous with the success of Oklahoma basketball. And it's cool to see your jersey in the arena. And it's just a very special thing. I love, obviously, going to sporting events and going to OU events my entire life. And of course, being at OU the same time as you and watching you play, and now seeing where you've ended up today is just a really cool story. And I'm just so proud that you're a Sooner. I love it so much. And like I said, your name is synonymous with women's basketball at Oklahoma, and everyone knows your name. And so it's just really cool that you're so proud to have represented the program, because I know that means a lot to Sooner fans as well.
I'm incredibly proud to be an Oklahoma Sooner. I think our tradition of excellence just runs so deep and has historically. And I proudly support all of our teams, all of our programs.
Yes.
I'm incredibly excited for the women's basketball season with the addition of Chavez and Reagan Beers. It's going to be just a really cool season, I think. But when I look back, Larissa, at Oklahoma, I think to myself, just it's not just us as student athletes, right? It's an entire community. It's football is religion in the state of Oklahoma.
Yes.
There's a support system that I can recall from my time there, that you're throwing no-look passes. And my first year, I was throwing a few to the security guards because there was no recipient at one end of them. But I'll cherish forever making the leap to leave Canada. I did take 5 visits. Oklahoma was my last visit, and it came quite late in the recruiting process. But they found me, and Pam DaCosta found me, one of Sherry's assistants. And I took my final visit there, and I wondered what kind of world I was walking into there in Oklahoma. But, to take that leap and play for Sherry Cole, the greatest coach that I know, the greatest coach I've ever
Yes.
had,
Yes.
it was the best decision I could have made. And I always would tell kids, if you have opportunities, the only thing in life you should steal is those opportunities. And that's what
Absolutely.
I had. It took me to Oklahoma, and I started to build something locked at the hip of Sherry Cole with her. And I couldn't be more proud of that. Like I said, to go from the bottom of the barrel, dirt on the ground, and to be running those 5 a.m., gut checks, to winning multiple Big 12 championships,
Yes.
to becoming a first team Kodak All-American and representing the school was something that, it was a launching pad for me, really, of every aspect of my life. I was drafted into the WNBA right away after I played my final season, my senior year, falling short in the national championship game. And drafted third overall to the Washington Mystics, which was an incredible accomplishment for a kid from Canada.
Absolutely.
And I credit all that to my teammates, my coaches, Sherry, and the program for supporting us. I had amazing teammates in college, the best teammates I've ever had. And Larissa, I just boomer sooner for life. I mean,
Amen.
to share those experiences with all my teammates and take those moments with me for life is something that I will treasure and cherish forever.
I love that. Well, the WNBA, you mentioned being drafted to that, and it's obviously come such a long way in the last 20, 25 years for sure. But just looking back to when you were involved and drafted, and you played for several different teams, correct? Or did I make that up?
Yeah, Washington,
no, you did. Okay.
And Chicago Sky. Those
okay, yes.
Yep.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that, because I know the WNBA has come so far, like I said, but even still today, they're still working so hard to get the recognition and the funding and the platform to promote the league. And I know it's come a long way, even just in the last couple of years. But being able to watch the games as a fan, as someone who doesn't get to go to a lot of the games, and we have the Dallas Wings just not far from where I live, so I do go to a few games there. But for those of us who can't have season tickets, or we want to watch Caitlin Clark, it's sometimes difficult to have the opportunity to watch those games because you have to pay for a subscription or something like that. So I know that those things are being worked on, and there's now investors going forward with that. Back to my original question, back in your time, what was it like being a part of the league? And how many teams were in the league then, and how does it compare to kind of where they are today?
Yeah, it was a much different time. It's a great question, because coming out in 2002 from college and being drafted to the Mystics in our nation's capital, we didn't have NIL. We didn't have social media.
Right.
So you didn't have a brand. So you had to go into the league and try to navigate your way through it. I'll never forget one of my first games, Larissa. I was playing against Lisa Leslie, the great Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Incredible player, incredible person. And I got the ball right in my hands, and I'm this rookie. I was an all-star my rookie year, and I'm about to just cruise. There was a beautiful lane right down the pipeline, right down the key. And I thought to myself, how am I this open? How I just turned the corner, came off a screen and roll, I think it was, and boom, I was right. So I'm just about to go lay this baby up, dunk it, if you will, and whoosh, this monstrous, hand comes in and absolutely volleyball strikes the ball out of my hands. And I'm like, welcome to the W, Dale.
Yeah, right.
You better figure out how to shield that thing from somebody like Lisa Leslie.
Right.
And, I had the privilege of playing with Tamika Holdsclaw and Muriel Page and, so many, Elena Beard eventually there in DC. There were so many great players. And then to be part of the inaugural Chicago Sky.
Yes.
But like I said, actually was so proud to score our first basket in Chicago. But like I said, we didn't have NIL. We didn't have social media. Where it's come now, this thing is booming. Everybody
really is.
wants a piece of the pie. So you see these new expansion teams, right? Like Toronto.
Yes.
And my good folks up there in Toronto, Teresa Resch, the GM, and she's doing an incredible job. People want to be in on this thing now. You mentioned Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, these players.
Yes.
Paige Beckers. These are players people want to see, and people want to invest in it because it's really good basketball.
It
And it has,
absolutely is.
I'll tell you this, girl, it's been good basketball for a long time. We played
It
some damn
has.
good basketball, just
Hmm.
not enough people got to see it. So I'm really happy
Yes.
for the WNBA and that it's thriving the way that it is.
Absolutely. Well, and you mentioned social media, and I often talk a lot about the importance of it. And I know there's pros and cons, of course, but the caliber of importance that it has had on not just the WNBA, but just sports in general, softball as well.
Yeah.
But all these other sports, like I mentioned, soccer, volleyball, tennis, even track and field, some of those things aren't always televised. But as an OU fan, I want to follow them. And of course, now with my platform, I want to follow them and promote them on my show. But social media is a great way to do that. Like everybody has an account. And I know, at least as far as OU athletics go, they're all very good at updating those accounts and keeping you posted on things. And a lot of times, like with softball, it's sometimes play by play action. And so that's really good. And so, yes, social media, I can't imagine. It's funny. I mean, obviously, I remember before social media, but I just can't imagine now, like, not having it. I mean, again, I know there's tons of pros and cons, but I use it all the time. I use it in my
You do
work.
a
I
great
use it.
job with it. You do a
Yeah.
great job
Oh,
with
well,
it.
thank
It's
you. Thank
hard.
you.
I think the older that I've gotten, and I'm not in that generation, like I'm past the millennial generation, obviously. It's tricky for me. It's
It
challenging.
is.
Try to find ways to stay engaged and keep it real positive. I think that's really important to me, keeping things super positive.
Absolutely.
But it's a necessary evil at times, and it's fun.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
especially for my job in the NFL, I think people, 17 years in the NFL, and I think I have, the ability to reach people and share something that I experience every Sunday or Monday.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty cool that, I stay mindful of that, Larissa, because
Yes.
uh, I do have this interesting job. I feel like the NFL is my family at this point in my
Yes.
career after 17
For
years.
sure.
It's fun to bring a little piece of that flavor, if I'm at a game somewhere in a given week to football fans. And
Yes.
I take that responsibility and treasure it, really, because it is a unique opportunity to share that sort of landscape with people and
Absolutely.
try to have fun doing it. And it's a lot of fun. Football's fun,
Oh, I
right?
love football. It's definitely, I tell everybody that football's my first love because I grew up just watching the sport, of course, with my dad. I went to OU games. I grew up having season tickets. And of course, I went to basketball games with him as well. And he just loves sports. So
You
if there
came to
was
our
some,
games, right?
oh, absolutely, yes, I did. I
What
mean,
did you like about our team? What did you like about our team? Let me give you a refresher, okay?
yes,
You got I can't name all the players, but you got
right.
like Caulfield and P Dub, Felicia Whaley was there
Oh, yes,
early,
Whaley, yes,
Sonny Hardeman, who's now Sonny Schreiner. Like, we had a collection of Jamie Talbert, Caton Hill,
yes.
Roz Ross. Like, we had some ballers now.
You did. And I remember, I want to say, okay, was it 2002 when you guys went to the national championship, or what year
Yes,
was it? Okay.
yes. But
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay. And I believe that's the same year that the men's team went to the Final Four.
Paulus Price, yep,
Yes. Okay.
yep.
I remember so vividly that year because, okay, so I've always loved March Madness, of course, always done a bracket and all the things. So it, of course, falls around spring break. And I always went skiing with some friends on spring break. And we would drive to Colorado and we would plan our stops according to basketball. So, if we needed to stop and watch the
Nothing wrong with
game
that.
at a certain time or whatever, yes. So we did that. And we did that. I mean, that was a regular thing for us year after year. And of course, I remember that season so vividly. And I remember being like sad that I didn't try to go to the games because, like, why would I not have tried to do that? But at that time in my life, I just was like, oh, spring break, we go ski, like I went to most of the home games, honestly, for men's and women's.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And during my college days, for sure, I did that. And then, but again, during spring break, I was mainly focused on going skiing, I suppose. But it's funny because, like I said, looking back, I'm like, why didn't I try to travel to the tournament to watch well, you and the men's team during that time, because what a time that was, what a season
Yeah.
that was for both teams. And I'm like, I missed out on that. And of course, now I love March Madness. My husband, obviously, he's a big sports fan as well. And we travel to games and we like to go to March Madness, some form of the tournament every year, regardless of who's playing or whatever. You know, if OU's somewhere where we can get to, I'll obviously try to do that. But this coming March, the first and second rounds of the men's tournament will be in Oklahoma City. So we will definitely be there for that because that's easy. But I just love March Madness. And I always tell people who say that they don't know if they like basketball or not. Like, I don't know if I like it. Well, first of all, it's very fast paced. There's not a lot of stopping. I mean, you have your timeouts and stuff, but for the most part, it's consistent back and forth and it's quick. You know, a couple of hours, you can watch a game. And I always tell people, if you think you don't like basketball, just turn it on in March, because I promise you, I promise you, you will change your mind. And the women's tournament as well. So this blows my mind. I've talked to several different people about this. So I talked to Peyton Verhulst and Beatrice Culleton and also Taylor Robertson as well. And I was talking to them about how crazy it is with the women's Final Four and Sweet 16, and they just in the last handful of years were able to start using the March Madness label, and that blows my mind to think about. It wasn't that long ago that they weren't able to use that, and
That's
why?
crazy, isn't it?
It's truly crazy to think about. And I mean, I obviously remember when they couldn't, and I remember it was made a big deal when they were able to start using it. And I thought, why have they not been able to before? So again, it's just crazy to think how far women's sports has come, not just the WNBA, but even at the collegiate level. Wow, like we used to couldn't call it March Madness for the women, and that just blows my mind.
It
It
is
truly
shocking.
does.
It
It
is.
is. It really is.
Still, in many respects, we still live in an archaic society.
Yes, for sure.
And it's as exciting for women's players, and the quality of basketball is as good in the women's game.
Yes.
Respectively speaking, it's a draw, and it should be celebrated and supported. I mean,
Absolutely.
the women's game has grown immensely. The coaching
Yes.
is phenomenal.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm so excited about Jenny Baranchek and this women's program
Yes.
at
Love
Oklahoma.
her.
I think this squad's got a Final Four potential in
I
it.
hope so. Yes.
We'll see, but they got some ballers now.
They sure do. They sure do. Well, and like I said, I've had the privilege to talk to several of the players. Everyone loves Coach Jenny. And I've never met her in person, but I want to. It's on my
You gotta
list.
get her on your podcast.
I know, I want to. It's definitely on my list. But I love watching her on the sidelines. She is so just fired up and exciting to watch. And the girls love her. Like I said, they've all had nothing but good to say about her. And talking to Taylor Robertson, she played for both Sherry Cole and Jenny. And so we talked a little bit about that transition and what that was like, because that's a weird time for an athlete when one coach is going out, even though it was on a good note, it was on her terms, but still it's just a weird transition time for the program and the athletes. So it was really cool to talk to her and get that perspective on that change. But again, she reiterated what I had said, in that Coach Cole is one that you don't want to look and say, oh, we need someone to fill her shoes. And same with Jenny. I feel like she'll be at Oklahoma for a long time. And that someday when her time is over, we don't ever want to say, oh, we need someone to fill Jenny's shoes. No, like they have their own shoes. They have their own place. They have their own personality and their own style.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But Jenny just picked up where Sherry had left off and done so many great things for so long, and she's just ran with it, and people just jumped on board with her because she has that personality about her, and people love her. The fans love her, the players love her, and it's incredible. I'm very, very excited for the season for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be. There's a lot of potential there. Jenny is fiery, just like Coach Cole.
Yes.
And I just look back on Sherry's career, well over 2 decades, and
Yes.
everything she was able to accomplish. And now to see her just writing all these incredible books that have me in
Yes.
tears. The compost files, and I've got my Rooted to Rise right here. She's a master with words, and we knew
She
this,
really is.
right?
Yes.
We knew this. One of the things we did before every practice is we had a thought for the day, and
Yes.
we would come together in the middle of the court, and we would have a thought for the day. Then we would have an offensive thought and a defensive thought. So the offensive thought
Oh,
could have
cool.
been like triple threat sureness or fake a pass to make a pass, something of that nature. The defensive thought for the day could be something like, jump to the
Uh-huh.
ball, help side defense, just little things. And
Hmm.
those were emphasis that every day you went in. But the thought for the day was always some quote or something that you really had to contemplate
Uh-huh.
mentally. And they would all be in our lockers as we walked in prior to practice. So she was always finding unique ways to motivate us. I'll never forget one of my favorite stories ever, Larissa, was I think it was my second year. So I redshirted my first year after I tore my ACL.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, we were starting to climb. Our program was really starting to climb, and a couple years into it, and we had never been ranked. So,
Wow.
when you're a D1 basketball player and you want to be in that top 32, like you
Absolutely.
want to be in the top 25. I was
Yes.
about to say 32, think of the NFL, but you want to be you want to be in the top 25, and you want to climb in that top 25 because that's validating in some respects. We had never done that.
Absolutely.
So we walked into practice one day and coach looked pissed. She just looked pissed. And you didn't want to get her on a bad day. So we walk in and I'm like looking at my teammates and she goes, everybody get onto the baseline, down to the baseline. You got a 35-second. And I'm like, what the hell did somebody do? What the hell did somebody do?
It wasn't
And
me.
because ain't nobody want a breakfast club. Breakfast club is not the club you want to be in.
No,
So
for sure.
we're not even really warmed up, but we get to the line, we go run a 32 and we all come back and she looks at us. She said, get in here, get in here. And she looked at each of us in the face and she said, I just wanted to let you know, wake you up to the fact that you just cracked the top 25. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
we erupted, right? We're like these 19, 20, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And we're just thinking we've made it and we hadn't done anything yet. So
You were just beginning.
we were just beginning and we went on to win a couple Big 12 championships and went on to be
Incredible.
challengers in the Final Four and the national championship. And man, it just it's a real feel good thing when you go back and you think about those things.
Absolutely. As it should be. That's a really cool story. You
Yeah.
really thought something bad was going to come of that, and then it was
Oh, shoot.
the best news that you guys had heard.
Yeah.
For sure.
Leave
How
it to
funny.
coach. Leave it to coach to get us like that.
That's hilarious. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about what you do now. I do want to talk about what you do for the NFL Network on the sidelines. I know you've mentioned you're traveling to Germany for game. So how did you get into that? Because you, Aaron Andrews, Carissa Thompson, Lisa Salter. I think of all the people I've seen on all the networks over my lifetime, and you guys have all been doing that for so long, and I just think it's so cool to see that women are representing in a very heavily male, obviously dominated field. But like I said, I love football. It's my first love. I watch the NFL. I love following our former Sooners. I just love seeing you guys representing in such a heavily male dominated field. So tell me a little bit, what's it like and how has it maybe progressed and gotten better over your 17 years? I'm sure there's been a lot of changes for you during that time.
Yeah, every year is uniquely different, and
Yes.
it's really exciting. And I just had a Baker Mayfield game a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
It's like I said, it's a school, it's a university that prides itself on excellence, of consistent excellence. But covering the NFL is interesting. Like I said, each year has been uniquely different, whether that's the advent and evolution of our international game series, which I started the season with in Brazil and going to Germany.
Yes.
And how our programming is impacted by that. To see the evolution, I was one of the first people involved with Thursday Night Football, and it really started with our network, and then kind of morphed into a bunch of different networks over the course of time.
Yeah.
But what I really treasure the most, Larissa, is the relationships within the teams and the league
Yeah.
that I've been able to develop, and the trust factor and the foundation of trust,
Mm-hmm.
and just, how much I respect what football is, what these teams go through, what these coaches go through, how
Yes.
important winning is, how a 53-man roster works, and then building those relationships over the course of 17 years where, you can contact any team in any given week and talk to players on the phone. So before I go into every game that game I have for the week, I do phone interviews with players, and I
Oh,
request this
cool. Okay.
through the PR teams, and they've been so good to me, and I'm so grateful for that. It's a really incredible family, the NFL. It really is.
That's awesome.
And then you see the blood, sweat, and tears that these guys go through, and
Yes.
how hard it is to win in the National Football.
Yes.
In many respects, I'll tell you this: one of the things I miss from just being in a sport, playing the sport,
Mm-hmm.
is the competitiveness. I am extremely
Yes.
competitive, and I kind of get to live a little vicariously through these teams in terms of that competitive nature.
For
It's one of the
sure.
things that I love about covering them, and bringing some of their stories to light.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, I listened to Aaron Andrews and Carissa. They have a podcast and they talk a lot about random stuff, but I like to hear them talk about their relationships with their co-hosts as well as players and coaches. And they have mentioned also about how friendly everyone is, and it is just like a big family. And with them being on Fox, and Tom Brady's on Fox, and I'm a big Tom Brady fan, so it's really cool to hear their stories about him as well. But just hearing them talk about the respect that they get, not only from their co hosts, but from the players as well, that is really cool to hear, because you just never know like what you're walking into. I mean, as a woman, you have to just walk in there like you belong. And obviously, all of you females on the sidelines, you have that knowledge and you have the experience and you deserve to be there. But I can't imagine, it has to be somewhat intimidating, especially at the beginning. Maybe not so much now that you've been doing it so long. But yeah, just it's really cool to hear the kind of quote behind the scenes, like you said, you setting up phone conversations with the players to learn. And like I said, I've heard Aaron talk about, well, I make notes on different stuff and what I'm going to talk about on the breaks and things like that. And you don't think about that. Like for me as a viewer, I'm just sitting there watching the game. And
Yeah,
it's rare that I'm not on the couch on a Sunday watching, or Thursday night, Monday night, whenever, watching the NFL. But yeah, I love it when I see the women doing their thing, but I don't think about what goes in behind the scenes. I mean, you guys are working all week long, making those notes, talking on the phone, doing all the
yeah.
things. And so you know what you're talking about when you get there, and you know what you're doing. And it's just crazy. I mean, it's a job prep like every other job, but how much fun. I mean, oh my gosh, it just has to be so much fun.
There's just a lot of preparation that does go into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a woman, all those incredible names you mentioned, they're all just amazing women, amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really quite a club that we have as women.
For
Um,
sure.
Here in Carissa, they crush it. Tracy,
They do.
Lisa,
Yes. Yes.
Laura, the list goes on. All the women I work with at NFL Network, we have
Mm-hmm.
some amazing threads of our experience, and I love that sisterhood. But
Mm-hmm.
it is challenging, and you got to know your stuff. But I always say
For
to young
sure.
girls who want to get into, young ladies that want to get into football coverage, like
Mm-hmm.
last time I checked, it's okay. You can go ahead and learn the game. You can know the game.
Absolutely.
Not every man that calls sports, that is on air, that writes about football, played football. And you can learn the
Absolutely.
game. You can learn the craft by
Mm-hmm.
studying, by being intentional with your preparation habits. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the game. I love the trench work. I love to know, how a team decides to employ something schematically,
Yeah.
whether it be a wide zone run scheme or an inside blocking scheme. I love that stuff. I'm kind of like a football nerd, kind of a football
Yeah.
junkie. I
I
think you
love
have
it.
to at this
Yes.
stage in my career.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly, I just really, I'm really grateful for the football conversations I have. I love talking football on the field on Sunday mornings.
Yes.
When I do a game on Sundays, by the time you get to Sunday, there's been an entire onslaught of preparation by these teams.
For sure.
Actually most relaxed on Sunday morning before kickoff. So
Yeah.
when I have my best conversations, when I grab a wide receivers coach, or I bump into the offensive coordinator and I'm asking him about his quarterback and what's making his quarterback shine this season. So there's all that good stuff too. And every week it's like just flying by, really.
Yes. Oh, I bet so. It always flies by so fast. And I feel like when it's over, the wait for it to come back is so long. And I'm very thankful for basketball, softball,
Mhm.
baseball, all of those things that carry us through the spring and summer. But it's definitely my favorite sport to watch. Okay, I did want to ask you about the Super Bowl. So tell me
Okay.
a little bit about the Super Bowl and like your just any of your favorite memories or experiences as far as that goes, because that's like the epitome of the season, obviously. And I know there's a lot that goes into not just the event and the week of, but it's the culmination of the entire season. And it's just, I love the Super Bowl, but also I'm sad when it's over because like I know like that's it for 6 months. We have no more football. So what's it like the emotional part too, just like leading up to it and just the
Yeah.
excitement, all the things.
Super Bowl is one of the biggest events I work. I
Mhm.
typically fly in like at least a week before the
Yeah.
actual game, because you have this overwhelming daily media availability that, it is no joke in terms of the
I
media
can only imagine.
availability. Like, you have opening night ceremonies on Monday,
Mhm.
and then you have basically media sessions every day thereafter leading up to the game.
Wow.
So you have so much material. You really have to condense it and really pick out the big storylines.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to game day, you've been through a marathon. I mean,
Yeah.
it is very intense, but it's like the Olympics for football. That's how big it is.
Yes.
And I just love that. You just remember moments in games, like you remember things that, like when Chris Stapleton did the national anthem a couple of years ago,
Yes.
and you saw Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles,
Yes. Yes,
with
I
tears.
remember.
Well, I was in the press box, so I love music. I love
Yes.
music. There's rarely a day in my house that a TV's on, and that there's music not playing.
Uh-huh.
So I have music playing all the time. I love it. And it's just very comforting. I
Uh-huh.
love to cook, and I love music, and I love my dogs. And when Chris Stapleton sang that and I saw Nick's tears drop,
Yes.
I started in the press box just streaming tears down my
Mhm.
face. And it was one of the greatest moments I've ever seen. And I could probably go through over the years, my 17 years, picking out moments that are just like that. And maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't even something that happened in the game. It was something that, like
Yeah.
a Chris Stapleton national anthem.
Yeah.
But by the time the Super Bowl's done, I will tell you this: I got to go get me, like, because it is such a grind. I got to go get me like 3 burgers.
For sure.
So when I order cheeseburgers, I like three.
Okay.
I got a good appetite,
I
and
love it.
I like. If it's in California, I'm getting in and out. If it's somewhere over here, I'm getting Five Guys. But it's got to be like,
Yes.
if it ain't nothing but a McDonald's, I'm headed there. So
I love
yeah,
it.
so
Well,
yeah,
you'll be headed to San Francisco. Yeah.
there you
So
go.
so you'll get some in and out there, I'm presuming.
That's right. I'll have it. I'll have it already. The navigation already set on the brain
Absolutely.
to get out of the stadium and go get me some In and Out.
I love it. Good for you. Okay, well, I'm going to think about you after the game then. So Stacy's going to get her burger.
Shoot me a
I,
text and I'll send you a picture.
I can't wait. Okay, well, I don't want to keep you any longer. I'm so grateful that you shared part of your day with me. But is there anything else? I certainly don't want to cut you off. And if there's anything else you want to share or mention before I let you go, have at it.
I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you, and
Thank you.
I'm so proud that you're doing this and representing us Sooners. We're Sooner fam. And
Absolutely.
I'm just grateful that I could contribute in a small way to what you're trying to accomplish here and bringing light and love to Sooner fans and to the sports world. So good job by you.
Well,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
me.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, it's totally my pleasure. A little fangirl moment myself for sure. I cannot thank you. Yeah.
My pleasure. We'll do it again.